It was a busy afternoon on a major highway in Washington, D.C., with cars streaming past in both directions under the bright sun. Justice Malcolm Hayes, a black man in his late 50s, drove his sleek black sedan smoothly along the lane, heading back from a courthouse meeting. Despite his high profile position as a Supreme Court judge, he dressed simply in a tailored shirt and slacks, avoiding any overt display of status. Malcolm was known for his calm demeanor and meticulous attention to detail, qualities that had guided him through decades of legal experience. But on this particular afternoon, no one would have guessed the significance of the man behind the wheel. As Malcolm merged onto a slower lane to allow faster traffic to pass, a patrol car pulled aggressively alongside him. A white police officer, mid-30s and wearing a stern expression, leaned toward the passenger window and called out sharply, "Step over here, sir." License and registration. Now Malcolm kept his hands on the wheel, maintaining calm eye contact, and replied evenly, "Certainly, officer. May I ask what the issue is?" The officer's tone grew impatient, dismissive, and tinged with disrespect, as if assuming authority over someone he judged by appearance alone. Malcolm, calm and composed, reached for his documents slowly, his voice steady, projecting confidence and authority without confrontation. The officer stepped closer, blocking the lane partially, and continued to make demeaning remarks, implying carelessness or incompetence on Malcolm's part. Passers-by glanced over, some slowing down, sensing tension, while other drivers navigated cautiously around the unfolding scene. Malcolm responded politely, answering every question with precision and clarity, his demeanor unshaken by the officer's sharp tone and veiled condescension. It was clear that he would not be intimidated, and the subtle command in his calmness drew attention from those nearby. Suddenly, Malcolm produced an official Supreme Court identification card and handed it to the officer, stating calmly, "I believe this will clarify my position." The officer's expression shifted immediately, the prior aggression replaced by pale shock and hesitation. His eyes widened as he realized the gravity of the situation. The man he had disrespected was a Supreme Court judge, one of the highest authorities in the nation. The sudden reversal of power was palpable, and Malcolm maintained his composed posture, letting the documents speak for themselves while standing as an unshakable figure of authority. The atmosphere on the highway changed instantly. Drivers slowed to watch, passengers peered from their cars, and the officer, now visibly flustered, stepped back slightly, clearly aware of his misjudgment. Malcolm, still calm, collected his documents, gave a courteous nod, and resumed driving, his calm authority leaving an indelible impression on the officer and anyone who had witnessed the interaction. The lesson was immediate and undeniable. Assumptions, disrespect, and judgment based on appearances can be shattered in an instant when met with composure, authority, and earned respect. By the time Malcolm merged back into traffic and continued his route, the encounter had already become a subtle demonstration of the power of calm confidence and professional authority. The officer, pale and silent, remained behind, likely processing the stark contrast between casual arrogance and true authority. Malcolm's composure, dignity, and position as a Supreme Court judge had turned what could have been a tense confrontation into a profound lesson in respect, humility, and the consequences of misjudgment. The morning after the highway incident, Justice Malcolm Hayes continued his daily routine with the same calm confidence and composure that had defined his professional and personal life for decades. Despite the encounter with the police officer, he carried himself with the same quiet dignity, fully aware of his position but unshaken by the aggression he had faced. Washington, D.C. buzzed with activity as cars filled the streets, pedestrians hurried along sidewalks, and the rhythm of city life pressed forward. Yet Malcolm navigated it all with measured awareness, attentive to his surroundings and composed in every gesture. The incident on the highway, though brief, lingered in his mind as a reminder of how quickly assumptions and prejudice can surface, and how calmly asserting authority can instantly shift dynamics. Throughout the morning, Malcolm reviewed case notes and prepared for upcoming court proceedings. His study was methodical, his attention to detail precise, and every decision reflected decades of experience and careful thought. The highway encounter had reminded him that authority is sometimes challenged in unexpected ways, but composure and professionalism always command recognition. Staff and colleagues who observed Malcolm throughout the day noted his calm, confident demeanor, unaware of the tense moment he had diffused on the highway, yet naturally influenced by the quiet authority he radiated in every interaction. Later in the afternoon, Malcolm attended a meeting with fellow judges and legal aides, discussing case strategies and procedural updates. His communication was measured and clear, commanding attention and respect, not through assertive posturing, but through calm expertise and thorough knowledge. Colleagues listened attentively, asking questions and taking notes, fully engaged with his guidance. Malcolm's calm authority was subtle yet undeniable, reflecting the same qualities that had immediately transformed the tense highway encounter into a moment of recognition and respect. Even those who had underestimated him in prior situations would find that his composed, consistent presence left no room for misjudgment. By evening, Malcolm returned home, navigating the city streets with the same calm assurance, reflective and composed. He understood that the encounter with the officer was a small but vivid example of a larger truth. Assumptions based on appearance, prejudice, or casual judgment can be instantly overturned by calm authority, composure, and earned respect. The officer's sudden shock and paleness on the highway had been fleeting, yet the impression left by Malcolm's presence, demeanor, and professional authority would linger far longer. As he settled into his evening routine, Malcolm carried with him a quiet satisfaction, aware that his calm confidence had transformed a moment of potential conflict into a demonstration of the power of composure, dignity, and earned authority. By midweek, Justice Malcolm Hayes had returned to his usual rhythm, his presence in the city and courtroom carrying the same quiet authority that had defined his decades-long career. The encounter with the police officer on the highway had become a subtle memory, a reminder of how quickly assumptions and bias can emerge and how composure and professional authority can instantly transform tense situations. Malcolm moved through Washington, D.C. with measured confidence, walking briskly between his chambers, offices, and courthouse, aware of his surroundings but unshaken by the residual tension of the previous incident. His calm demeanor, attentive posture, and assured movements subtly communicated authority, commanding respect without overt assertion. Throughout the morning, Malcolm conducted case reviews and met with law clerks to discuss legal strategies, precedents, and upcoming deliberations. His tone was precise and deliberate, conveying both expertise and calm authority, while the clerks responded with attentiveness and focus. The previous highway encounter underscored a simple truth that Malcolm applied daily. True authority is recognized not through confrontation, but through composure, knowledge, and consistent, measured action. Observers could sense the quiet strength in his demeanor, noting the difference between casual assumptions and earned respect. Later in the afternoon, Malcolm attended a judicial panel meeting, addressing colleagues and participating in deliberations on complex legal matters. His presence was commanding yet approachable, balancing authority with humility. Every word, gesture, and expression reinforced the credibility he carried as a Supreme Court judge. The memory of the officer's astonishment lingered subtly in his mind, a vivid illustration of how quickly power dynamics can shift when authority is met with composure and professionalism. Malcolm's approach demonstrated that respect, once earned, reshapes perception immediately, leaving observers with a lasting impression of competence and dignity. By evening, Malcolm navigated the city streets calmly, reflecting on the week's events and the subtle lessons from the highway encounter. The officer's shock had been immediate, yet the enduring lesson was the quiet power of composure, confidence, and earned authority. Malcolm understood that authority and respect are not granted lightly. They are demonstrated consistently, observed in behavior, and recognized in moments both ordinary and extraordinary. As he returned home, the city glowing in the late afternoon sun, Malcolm carried with him the satisfaction of knowing that even a fleeting moment of disrespect had been transformed into a clear demonstration of dignity, professionalism, and undeniable authority, leaving an impression that would linger far beyond the brief encounter. By the following morning, Justice Malcolm Hayes resumed his routine with calm assurance, moving through the courthouse and city streets with the quiet confidence that had defined his career. The memory of the highway incident lingered, not as a source of anger, but as a subtle reminder of the power of composure, presence, and professional authority. Malcolm navigated the city's busy sidewalks, observing the ebb and flow of pedestrians and traffic with attentive awareness, yet never allowing the encounter with the officer to disrupt his measured focus. His calm demeanor communicated authority naturally, drawing respect without force or confrontation, reinforcing the lesson that earned authority and composure leave a lasting impression. Throughout the morning, Malcolm attended briefings with law clerks, reviewing case files and legal arguments with precision and thoughtfulness. His questions were pointed yet measured, eliciting careful responses and reinforcing the expectation of professionalism. Colleagues and staff responded promptly and attentively, fully aware of his calm authority and the experience that underpinned every decision. The highway incident remained in the back of his mind as a vivid example of how quick assumptions can be corrected. But he relied on composure rather than confrontation to manage perception, knowing that authority is most powerful when demonstrated through steady, competent action. Later in the afternoon, Malcolm met with fellow judges to discuss ongoing cases and procedural matters, his tone confident but approachable. He facilitated discussions with clarity, ensuring that all points were addressed while maintaining a professional, composed environment. Even minor disagreements were handled with patience and precision, reinforcing the contrast between casual arrogance or disrespect and the authority earned through expertise, experience, and measured behavior. Observers, whether clerks, colleagues, or courtroom staff, could sense the calm control he maintained, recognizing that his authority was rooted in competence rather than assumption or position alone. By evening, Malcolm returned to his vehicle and drove through the city streets with careful attention and composed confidence. The sunlight reflected softly on the pavement as he reflected on the week's events, recognizing the enduring value of composure, professionalism, and quiet authority. The officer's momentary shock on the highway had been immediate, but the lasting impression lay in the demonstration of respect, earned through decades of expertise, calm demeanor, and measured conduct. Malcolm understood that true authority is observed in behavior, reinforced consistently, and recognized instantly when assumptions are challenged. As he approached his home, briefcase in hand, he felt the quiet satisfaction of knowing that a potentially tense situation had been transformed into a powerful lesson in dignity, respect, and earned authority, leaving a lasting impact on all who had witnessed it. By midweek, Justice Malcolm Hayes had fully settled into the rhythm of his professional and personal routines, his calm authority and composed demeanor leaving subtle but unmistakable impressions on everyone he encountered. The memory of the highway incident remained in his mind, not as a source of anger, but as a vivid reminder of how assumptions and casual disrespect can be instantly corrected by composure and earned authority. Malcolm moved through the city streets and courthouse corridors with measured confidence, fully aware of the influence his presence commanded without the need for assertion or confrontation. His demeanor radiated control, professionalism, and quiet assurance, naturally shaping interactions and reinforcing respect. Throughout the morning, Malcolm reviewed case files, met with law clerks, and guided discussions regarding ongoing legal proceedings. Each interaction reflected his precision, patience, and clarity, demonstrating that authority is conveyed through competence, consistency, and measured behavior. Colleagues and clerks responded immediately to his instructions and guidance, acknowledging both his expertise and the calm, unwavering demeanor that underscored his professional presence. The contrast between the officer's brief aggression on the highway and Malcolm's sustained composure was striking, illustrating the power of quiet authority over impulsive assumptions. Later in the afternoon, Malcolm presided over a panel discussion with fellow judges, navigating differing opinions and complex deliberations with clarity and restraint. Every gesture, tone, and expression reinforced his authority, demonstrating that leadership is recognized through knowledge, professionalism, and steady behavior, rather than by force or intimidation. The hallway and courtroom observers subtly acknowledged the difference between casual arrogance and the authority grounded in experience and composure. Malcolm's ability to guide discussions, resolve conflicts, and maintain decorum highlighted the enduring impact of calm, measured authority. By evening, Malcolm returned to his vehicle and drove through the city, reflecting on the week's events and the lessons implicit in the highway incident. The officer's shock had been immediate and dramatic, but the long-term message was in the demonstration of composure, dignity, and professional authority. Malcolm understood that respect and recognition are earned and observed consistently, and that a single display of calm competence can transform perceptions in ways abrupt confrontation cannot. As he arrived home and stepped inside, Malcolm carried with him the quiet satisfaction of having turned a potentially tense situation into a lasting demonstration of earned respect, authority, and the power of composure, leaving an impression that would resonate far beyond a single fleeting encounter. By the following week, Justice Malcolm Hayes had become even more mindful of the subtle dynamics of perception, authority, and respect, carrying himself with calm assurance through the streets, offices, and courtrooms of Washington, D.C. The memory of the highway encounter remained vivid, not as a source of tension, but as a testament to how composure and professional authority can instantly shift dynamics and correct assumptions. Malcolm moved through the city with deliberate focus, navigating traffic, pedestrians, and courthouse corridors with the same quiet confidence that had guided his career for decades. His demeanor projected authority naturally, drawing recognition without confrontation, subtly influencing the behavior of those around him. Throughout the morning, Malcolm reviewed upcoming case files, met with law clerks, and consulted with fellow judges, his tone measured and precise, reinforcing both his expertise and his calm authority. Colleagues responded promptly, taking note of his clear instructions and composed demeanor, while clerks absorbed the lesson that respect is earned through consistent professionalism, competence, and thoughtful communication. Malcolm's experience on the highway served as a reminder that even brief encounters can become powerful demonstrations of authority when met with patience, composure, and knowledge. Later in the afternoon, Malcolm presided over deliberations and discussions, balancing competing viewpoints with clarity, tact, and authority. His calm, steady presence set the tone for constructive engagement, emphasizing that leadership is most effective when grounded in consistent composure and expertise. Observers, both within the courtroom and in the courthouse hallways, noted the contrast between the impulsive assumptions of the officer and Malcolm's enduring authority, recognizing that real power comes from behavior, knowledge, and professionalism, rather than titles or displays of aggression. By evening, Malcolm drove home, reflecting on the week's events and the ongoing lessons embedded in the highway encounter. The officer's sudden pallor and shock had been dramatic, yet the more enduring impression lay in Malcolm's composed handling of the situation. Authority, he understood, is conveyed not through force, but through consistent behavior, calm presence, and earned competence. As he returned home and stepped inside, Malcolm carried the quiet satisfaction of knowing that a potentially tense confrontation had been transformed into a powerful example of dignity, professionalism, and respect, a lesson that would resonate long after the moment had passed. By the end of the week, Justice Malcolm Hayes had fully demonstrated the enduring impact of calm authority and composure, leaving subtle yet unmistakable impressions on everyone who had witnessed or heard of the highway incident. The officer who had disrespected him, now fully aware of Malcolm's position, remained a vivid reminder of how quickly assumptions and bias can be corrected by measured professionalism and presence. Malcolm moved through the city with quiet confidence, attending to legal duties, meeting with colleagues, and navigating daily life with the same poised assurance that had characterized his entire career. His authority was evident, not through aggression or assertion, but through competence, consistency, and calm composure, reinforcing respect in every interaction. Throughout the day, Malcolm engaged with law clerks, fellow judges, and court staff, his demeanor composed and thoughtful, communicating authority effortlessly through action and presence. Colleagues responded with attentiveness, absorbing both his guidance and the subtle example he set in handling conflict with dignity. The highway encounter had become more than a single moment. It was a lasting testament to the power of composure and earned authority, demonstrating how respect is observed and reinforced by consistent behavior rather than assumed or demanded. Later in the afternoon, Malcolm oversaw case reviews, provided direction to staff, and participated in deliberations, maintaining calm authority in every exchange. Observers noted the contrast between impulsive assumptions and the steady presence of someone whose experience, knowledge, and composure made respect unavoidable. Even those who had initially underestimated him, including the officer, were confronted with the undeniable lesson that authority backed by competence and poise commands acknowledgement instantly and enduringly. By evening, Malcolm returned home, reflecting on the events and their subtle yet profound impact. The officer's sudden shock on the highway had illustrated how quickly perception can shift, while Malcolm's consistent composure had solidified respect and authority in a manner that extended far beyond a single encounter. As he settled into his evening routine, he carried the quiet satisfaction of knowing that a potentially tense moment had become a lasting lesson in dignity, professionalism, and earned respect. Malcolm's calm, measured presence had not only corrected assumptions, but had left an enduring impression on all who had witnessed it, demonstrating the timeless power of composure, authority, and quiet confidence.